All righty. Oh my goodness. Hello, everybody. It's Brian. It's Tuesday. It's Patch Tuesday. Patch Tuesday. Uh, I was gonna sing like it's the most patchiest time of the year, but it is what it is. Um, Hope everyone's doing okay. There was a fairly interesting vulnerability. Let me post that one up here. Let me see. There it is. Anybody who loves them some hardware stuff, there was a couple of discussions that came up about TPM 2.0 having some vulnerabilities, and I think it launched today. I think they posted this today because it's being patched in the Tuesday patch for Windows. It's a blog post. Oh, let me doink, 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 doink. There it is. There I is. There I is. All right. So this is Quarks Labs um, blog post about the TPM vulnerabilities. You might know them as 2023 1017 and 2023 1018. Uh, so the TPMs, for those of you who don't know, TPM UEFI. So trusted platform module. For those of you who don't know, here's a link to that as well. These are little chips, very little, as a matter of fact. You can actually buy them. My big streaming box that I'm using to stream this on does not have the proper TPM chip in it. It's a Dell Inspiron T5600 with 120 gigs of RAM. Has a 1080p or 1080 graphics card, GTX graphics card. Won't run Windows 11, not without hacks. And as long-term followers of the stream know, I was streaming with Windows 11 on this and would get hypervisor errors or it would fail for some unknown reason. And so I decided to downgrade back to Windows 10 because Windows 10 still gets updates until like 2025. And I figure if I can't, you know, if my followers don't love me enough to help me out by helping me with um, tips and what have you, so that I can afford a decent sized vehicle to stream through, I'll just do it myself. So these are little chips that fit on your seriously. Sweetwater blows. Anyway, so yeah, it's this little chip, plugs into your motherboard, and so it's a trusted platform module. It was not something many people cared about or heard of, and Windows 11 kind of made it a requirement for being able to boot. In this case, secure boot, which is a method by which security standard for verifying that the operating system you're running is trusted and is valid. So it's all about signature validations. When you're booting up Windows, in this case, it checks the signatures against a certificate. It's a certificate storage device, really, and by checking the certificate on the TPM chip and the signatures inside the OS, if they validate, you go. The biggest problem is for people who don't, all us hipsters out there who also run Linux, they did not have the what's the word I'm using there? They don't want it. They did not have the ability to enable this or to include their certs or to do secure boot. So up until recently, I think there haven't been a lot of Linuxes that have had the ability to use UEFI. That's changing. There are Linuxes out there that use UEFI to boot, which is the unified unified. Where is it? We're down a rabbit hole today, aren't we? Stands for Unified Extensible Firmware Interface. There you go. Before then, it was BIOS, of course. So you had like a Ward or Phoenix or one of the other BIOSes that worked to translate or to communicate between the hardware and the OS itself. Um, I think I still have legacy boot set up on this, so it'll look for um, BIOS related bootloaders, but then we'll move to UEFI if it's available. So anyway, there's a vulnerability in the TPM, the Trusted Platform Module 2.0 reference implementation code. So the code that runs on these little chips, in this case, there's a bug or two in this case. And we've talked a little bit about what out of bounds is, an out of bounds read, and an out of bounds write. But out of bounds read. So it's in the MITRE code, it's your CWE 125. The product reads data past the end or the beginning of an intended buffer. There's apparently some code in there that makes it so that you can do that. So here's an example in C. I'm going to shut my door real quick. So talk amongst yourselves, or for the one viewer that's on, talk to yourself. So I'm so the painters are coming tomorrow, and so as I've mentioned, I have everything packed in a box except for the stuff on the desk here, and then I'm just gonna shut it down, lower my desk, and hide stuff as best I can. And as you can hear, when I shut the door, it's way more echoey. That's kind of annoying because there's nothing in the office. So anyway, let me see. So you have the method retrieves a value from an array at a specific index that's given as an input parameter to the method. So indicating an error. So if index is less than the length, this is a function. So those of you watching our Go series, you have an if statement, and then the value is the array of the index. If the array index is invalid, then input the output message, else the value is indicating the error. Method only verifies a given array. So anyway, it's a memory issue, right? There's a buffer, and according to this, the product reads past the end or beginning of an intended buffer. So if this buffer has five characters or five values in it, the out of bounds read says, some part of the code earlier or later in there says, hey, I want you to look at this buffer, but I want you to read 6 bytes into it. Or I want to read 6 bytes from a 5-byte buffer. And so it reads the first 5, and then it goes, oh, I need one more. So then wherever this buffer is sitting in memory, it can read X number of bits past the intended buffer. And because it's probably written in C or some memory thing like that where it's not checking its bounds. So one of the things is bounds checking is always a thing. Bounds checking. So in computer programming, bounds checking is detecting whether a variable is within some bounds before it's used. Index checking. So the code in the TPM module is not checking for whether or not it can read 6 bytes in a 5-byte buffer, for instance. And then, for the vulnerability for the write, it's the same thing. I have 5 bytes that can be written to, and somewhere in the code, according to 2023-1017, it wants to write 6 bits into a 5-bit buffer. So it's like you're trying to put 10 gallons in a 9-gallon hat or something like that. So it says an out of bounds write vulnerability exists, allowing writing of a 2-byte past the end of a 2.0 command in the crypt parameter decryption routine. An attacker who can successfully exploit this vulnerability can lead to a denial of service by crashing the TPM chip. Ooh, that's ugly. Or arbitrary code execution in a TPM context. Interesting. Okay. So yes, that's if you've ever done your um, if you've ever done offset training back in the day when I tried to take it, one of the things they were trying to teach you is that with things like bounds checking, because you're successfully writing into an adjacent space for the writing part, you can affect the data that's in this bit or in this buffer that you shouldn't be able to. There's 5 bits here, there's 5 bits here, there's 5 bits here, there's 5 bits here. If you're writing 6, that means you can affect the adjacent buffer. Um, and by doing so, depending on how you can adjust that buffer, you could do things like point to a different location in memory that would say, okay, take this 5, I want to read these 5 things, and then jump here. Oh, sorry. Jump here instead of here, and make it do things that you want it to do outside of normal. At minimum, you're going to cause a denial of service, but there could be, in some cases, I don't know the complete write up here, that you can create that buffer, that remote code exec, which everyone really likes to have. So, let me make this a little bigger. There we go, and I will turn off my preview. So it says this is a non-exhaustive list of affected software. So Quarks Lab, this has been under embargo for a good amount of time. I think I saw something just recently. There was an article about bypassing UEFI. There it is. My thought is, so we talked about Black Lotus. I remember this. I'm wondering if maybe this is where they found the vulnerability, and this is the discussion that they've been doing. The fact that they can bypass the protections that are in place. Let me see, uses cryptographic signatures. Found vulnerabilities. Yeah, we found secure boot vulnerabilities in the past. There's no indication until presented a deep dive analysis of the world's first in the wild UEFI bootkit that bypasses secure boot on fully updated system. Oh no, this was an impersonation thing where you can actually make the certificate, make the application believe that it is a legit build. And yeah, so we looked at this. This is something different. So, but there's a lot of, I mean, obviously finding UEFI vulnerabilities is big money, right? You're working at, for all intents and purposes, a lower ring than you would, a lower, like a ring 0 that you would be dealing with in OS. So for those of you who are like watching this, hey, I got another viewer. I don't know a lot about UEFI. I actually had a friend of mine who moved to the Bay Area, and I think he got a job with one of the big chip makers because he was creating a method by which you could protect against what do they call it? Naughty maid, filthy maid, corrupt maid, something like that. It had to do with like if you leave your laptop in a hotel room, the maid could come in. The people who come in and fix up your hotel rooms could plug something directly into your laptop and own your laptop through the BIOS or the UEFI in this case. Actually, John Aron, who we had on the show, is doing something similar. So again, maybe it's time to have him come on again and talk about some of the UEFI stuff. So these are non-exhaustive lists. So of course, Hyper-V, any kind of VM system, because they use a virtual TPM, VMware Workstation, right? QEMU and VirtualBox, because VirtualBox is kind of built on QEMU. I would imagine maybe Zen. They don't mention Zen here, so maybe not. All TPMs whose firmware based on the Trusted Computing Group's reference implementation code is expected to be affected. Trusted Computing Group, huh? Trusted Computing working group. TPM spec. Okay. So here's the spec doc if you want some good nighttime reading guaranteed to put you to sleep. So it looks like the last revision was 1.59, November 2019. So you see different parts here. They got errata. So previous versions, yeah. So the newest version is, excuse me, 159. So it'll go through. Yeah, there you go. So that's the PDF. And yeah, they got different revisions. See, this is a proper change log right here where they're talking about change logs and stuff. Wow, the first 20 pages, 20 pages. Jesus. Okay, so there we go. Oh, there's a bunch of people in here. Hans Gruber. Oh, no. The time change has really thrown me for a loop too. So it's like it's only a time zone. You know, if I flew from here to Vegas, that would not cause me any problems. But setting our clocks ahead and staying in the same place just does it to me every time. So there's different distinctions here talking about in TPM handles. So yeah, go check out that specification if you want to check that out. Let me get rid of the Black Lotus stuff. So yeah, balance checking is important. There's a couple of vulnerabilities. I believe the patches that you get today for Windows is going to allow for fixing that. Does Linux TPM patches? I would hate for you to have to boot up a Linux build just for that. Let's see. Linux patches 2023-01. 1017. 1017. All right, so according to Ubuntu, which of course they got good SEO, status package. So they've released it for Jammy, Kinetic, out of standard support, Focal and Bionic. I think are wow. Okay, so it's only 7.8. It's local, right? Attack complexity is low. Privilege required low. Yeah. I don't see a patch. Okay, here's upstream patch. Sorry. libtpms, huh? Okay. Check size of buffer before accessing it. Check that there are sufficient bytes in the buffer for reading the cipher size from it. Also reduce the buffer size variable by the number of bytes that make up the cipher size to avoid reading and writing bytes beyond the buffer. So somebody from IBM, Stefan Berger, added these. Wow, it's a 6-line fix. So buffer size is minus or equal to. Interesting. You can go check that out. Here's some code. If you want to go look at that. There we go. So it looks like six lines of code, and of which 2 are white space. So if leading size in byte is greater than the buffer size, say that it is insufficient. According to return TPM-RC insufficient. Okay, so that must be a variable, an environment variable from the TPM module to remind it to say, oh, okay, yeah, that's insufficient or what have you. And then, hey, Walt, how you doing? Glad you could come out and join me. Appreciate the support. So just throwing up the latest vulnerabilities from from the TPM modules. Basic issues here. So hey, Triplexity, how was your stream? I saw you were streaming earlier, so hope you having a good day. Saw you online through my phone. So yeah, I'm just on today to hang out with my good friends and everybody on here. So looks like obviously cloud computing, anybody who uses a hypervisor, so Nitro TPM might be vulnerable. These are well, my stream just started, and I'm a little tired, and my room is echoey because I've got stuff missing. I shut the doors and everything's all echoey now, so it's interesting how that does that. But so TPM vulnerabilities definitely will affect cloud-based company that has a ton of TPMs. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm diving deep into it either. I just happened to notice that Patch Tuesday was today, and they were going to patch these TPM vulnerabilities. When I first saw the write-up for this from Quark's lab, I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that they were actually going to patch this until I saw Patch Tuesday. Tuesday, yeah, exactly." So yeah, Bleeping Computer came up that 27 RCEs. Wow. Okay, patch your stuff, y'all. So they where was it? Where was it? Where was it? Good God. Okay, that's a lot of 2023. There, here they are. They put them down at the bottom as critical. So they buried the lead, but there are several critical vulnerabilities in this month's Patch Tuesday, including the escalation of privilege or elevation of privilege vulnerability. Um, Close that, God damn it. Now there you go. Y'all can check out my email. Go patch that. So there's a Bleeping Computer with all the vulnerabilities from Windows. If it's Linux, it's every day is Patch Tuesday for y'all. So you're gonna find some vulnerabilities regardless. But everything is important, or critical unknowns. They actually have some that are unknown. This is Chrome vulnerabilities for Microsoft Edge, of course. So you've got some vulnerabilities in the browser for Edge. This is going to be one of those ones where people are going to need to triage this one real quick to understand. I mean, at a minimum, you're going to want to patch because of the TPM stuff, because that's going to affect a lot of people. And actually, wow, it's interesting. I led with the patching stuff because I have something from Mastodon that I saw today that I was like, hey, I should talk about this. Yeah, you're going to want to triage these things. I don't know if you can actually pull down specific fixes anymore, or if it's just like you patch what you can patch. But yeah, I would say these two would probably give you pause. There might looks like our Windows RPC vulnerability as well. Let me see what we got here. MSRC update. Critical, it's a 9.8 or 8.5 adjusted temporal score. It's over the network, which makes it that much more badder, much more badder, whatever. To exploit this vulnerability, an unauthenticated attacker would need to send a specially crafted remote procedure call. Remote procedure call to an RPC host. This could result in remote code exec on the server side with the same permissions as the service. Since most services run with escalated or elevated privileges, that's super plus not good. Blocking 135 enterprise perimeters recommended best practice. Okay, so if you can't patch, port 135 is a good thing to block. Actually, 135 is a fairly old service port anyway. I believe it's been taken over by the higher level ones. Yeah, DCOM. Yeah. If you're, I would say you should be blocking port 135 already. If you're not, I would wonder why you're not. So in this case, yeah, D port 135, DCOM. Yeah, DCOM service, disabling DCOM service, distributed component object model. Yeah. Hackers use tools such as EP dump, identify every DCOM related server or service running users hosting computer and then match them up with known exploits. Therefore, port 35 should not be exposed to the internet, must be blocked or should be blocked, according to Manage Engine. And you can do that through the firewall. There's you're really hard up for how to do that through Windows Firewall. You can do that right there. You can block them at your main firewall and then block them on the hosts. But older services, older enterprises might actually need port 135. So take a look at what you're doing there. Microsoft recognizes the efforts of those in the security community. Okay, so there's some acknowledgments. Who got the 10-point font? Let's see. Okay, so several people. Okay, wow, that's really nice. Good for them. Yeah. So, I mentioned I have something from Mastodon, but I don't know this person on. I don't know Mike, the IT guy. I probably do in real life. I probably met him somewhere. I don't think he has the wrong idea. I just think that it's something that we've been saying for years. Like, why patch? Why don't you patch things? Just patch. I started working at my new job, and one of the things that always comes up when somebody tries to explain something, especially from an engagement point of view. One second. Oh, there's my kitties. Okay. When I worked at Leviathan, the company before the company I work for now, I would go to I was engagement PM, and I would go in and we would talk to the customer, and I'd be talking to them, and one of the things I would ask them, along with things like scope and what have you, is how do you get access to the environment? How do you do something that requires a process? And the biggest thing that I would hear from them is, oh yeah, you just go in here and you do this, or you just go in and do this. It's super simple. You just go and do this. When people explain something, and I don't know if they like to simplify on purpose or they just assume that it's going to be the same for everybody. But when somebody says just in a meeting with me, it just lights my ass on fire, because it's like, it's not just. It's never just. It's not simply. There's no all you need to do is. You're the person who already has that access. So for you, it's just. For you, it's simply. For you, it's all you need to do is. There's process. There's, if you're not already onboarded with this, all you have to do is just, install the IDE and do this. I was like, no, there's way more that you have to do for that. And it's not just security people. It's anybody who goes and explains things. I actually catch myself sometimes. I say, oh, I don't want to say just, because I know, I don't know if we're trying to minimize how easy it is to do this. Oh yeah, it'll only take you 5 minutes. All you got to do is just this. It's like, yeah, no. He has a controversial hot take. Just patch. When we've had Java vulnerabilities in the past, several years, people would say things like, "Oh yeah, just uninstall Java." And it's like, you can't just, okay? You can't just. You don't know the context. You don't know the scenario needed to have that. Port 135 may need to be open for somebody connected to the internet. There may be a legitimate use case for that. The security people may be aware that 135 is exposed to the internet, but they've been told by somebody, hey, yeah, we got to have that because of XYZ. This person said, one of the biggest things you can do is to patch your systems. Yeah, okay. That sounds great. Just patch. Just patch. He didn't use the word just, but that's patch your system. There's a legitimate need for people to take a look at patches, even in this day and age. You can't just patch. Sorry. and I get it. And I'm not the reason I'm not unhappy or I'm not railing against Mike the IT guy is we've all done that. We've all asked people, you know, just patch. Just run the freaking patches. That's all you got to do. I don't know if I don't want to call it maturity, but I don't know if it's my it's being I've been a vendor dealing with having findings for a customer. I've been the customer getting findings from a vendor. I've been the uninterested third party who's had to work with the vendor and somebody in my team inside my company who has seen the vulnerabilities from the pen testing firm and said, "Hey, why can't you fix this?" I've done it. I've been all sides of this where it's like, "Can't you just patch this?" Or, "Hey, we need to patch this." It's it's hard. It is really hard. And I did reply to him. I said, just patch, just uninstall Java, just. It's rarely just, simply, or all you have to do is. Um, we and I'm taking InfoSec to task because we share in this problem. I and please feel free to Triplexity, Walt, um, I would love to hear y'all's thoughts on this. Anybody else who's on here? I am a bit ranty today. I do not know why. But sometimes I find takes like this and I'm like, we need to be better at communicating these things to our people. Security people are never going to be patching things. If they are, they're IT who's doing security as a side gig. Um, I don't know of any security person who is sitting down and actually patching things, unless they are the vulnerability management person. But as the vulnerability management person at a fairly well-known company, I did not patch anything. I sent a ticket to somebody in infrastructure or the IT people and said, "Hey, we found this vulnerability. You need to fix it." And then they would tell me, "No, we can't do that because it doesn't make any sense." And I was like, "Well, why not?" Or, "Well, by the time we go to patch it, that container won't exist anyway." Oh, okay. Well, all right. How long will it take to, kill that container with that vulnerability on? Oh, it'll take 24 hours. Okay. In 24 hours, I expect to not see that patch, or I expect to not see that box anymore and that vulnerability. Oh no, he does say just patch. There it is, right there. That will solve a large majority of your issues, and you don't need to buy Silicon Valley startup piece of software to do it. There, I I think I figured it out when I was dealing with devices and dealing with systems that are complicated. Hmm. Walt says, "I think just is an attempt not to scare people." That's an interesting concept. So just is, it's so easy, a caveman can do it, um, kind of thing. It's not to scare people, Oh yeah, it doesn't take a love. I can see that, Walt. Like, it doesn't take a huge lift. All you need to do is this. Um, that's good. I like that. I like that. Um, so what Walt is suggesting is that we're trying to, when we tell people to just patch, or we're trying to get across the idea that it's not difficult to do, but we actually don't understand the context of why the patch wasn't done. And we assume because, and for me, when I hear just, I'm thinking the people who say just don't know what it actually takes to get something done. Um, so, speaking of just, I just have an update for my NVIDIA drivers. my we One of the things that I have found is that Lady P. Yeah, it should just explain it to them. I think we try to. I think we try to just explain it to them. And I don't know if it's a relationship thing, and we're just to me sounds very dismissive. It sounds like we don't want to explain it to them. We just want them to patch it. Uh, we just want them to get it done because I know exactly why it needs to be done, but I don't have the time to tell you. And if I take the time to try to explain it to you, that will just make us both unhappy. We reviewed a PAM solution for Windows that utilizes UAC. Okay. uh, so simple. You must be exactly. UAC, which can be bypassed with something like an EAS broker or DLL hijack, priv escalation, boom. Yeah. Um, yeah, and Mike probably has a good point there. That too can be a way to undersell the difficulties. Right. Um, Mike, he says, you don't have to buy a piece of Silicon Valley startup software to do it. Again, at scale, is it easy to just patch it? If you have availability or resilience problems, just patch it. If you're not the one patching it, yeah, just patch it because I don't have any accountability. I don't have any responsibility. I'm just consulted and informed uh, to just patch it. Well, I think Microsoft has tried to take the patching out of people's hands, and how well did that go for them? Perplexity. Um, I mean, they're getting better at it. I mean, right now I'm probably getting my patches right now. Let me go see. Check for updates. Checking for updates. Yeah, see this PC. Oh, you can't see that. It says this PC doesn't meet minimum requirements for Windows 11. I have put in registry hacks that will not do the TPM check and will automatically install Windows 11. Um, doesn't like that too much though. I worry about our vuln management has set more strict policy and audited it more frequently. That's for sure. Yeah. Oh, there it goes. Yeah. Cumulative update, Windows 10. Yeah. Now, it won't automatically restart for me, but it is running and downloading. So it may take a while. Hopefully, I don't lose. Hopefully, I don't lose y'all. But it feels like when we tell people to just do something, we don't understand context. We don't understand their processes. We don't understand what it takes for them to do that. We're security, so what we say goes. Uh, it's a lot of the compliance stuff too. It's like everything is when you're in compliance, everything is a nail and you're the hammer, and you just get it done. You know, I've seen a lot of that when I worked in PCI compliance. And I feel bad because there's been several times where I've probably told people just to patch it without actually understanding why they can't patch it. There's things we can do, and it actually takes work on our part from the security point of view. If CPO Parker read that Twitter's internal certificate is about to expire, no one has the password. Someone suggested they replace the CA with a new one. Yeah, I read that too. Somebody had also said that there was a lot of stuff going on with that. So, um, yeah, there's also been a couple of things in the news about ransomware that people can't really confirm either. So, but so us as security people, I feel is we need to better understand the process of what patching means instead of, hey, it's Patch Tuesday, just patch your stuff. What does it take to actually do that process? Is it a painful long-term process? Does it happen at 2 in the morning during a maintenance window? Is there a change management process that needs to go into place? Um, maybe, hey, you know what? Maybe the IT guy says, yeah, we're gonna apply those patches, and I've got 5 other things I've got to go through change management on. It's like, you get to the change management meeting. I don't know if they still do change management these days. We don't do that here. We just kind of patch all the things. We have people who do the patching, or people who have people who do the patching. But when I worked in PCI does require some change management meetings, and the change windows at like 2 in the morning, and I don't know why. But should you, as the security person who wants things just patched, be attending the change management meetings to champion those changes or to help them understand the necessity to do so? If you're expecting the IT people to go in and carry the security banner of, hey, we have a bunch of these patches that need to be done, or we need to deploy this thing, and if the IT guys seeing a higher priority on patching, and not patching this thing, but like we need to send out this software package. If you're not championing those patches, then security's not gonna, it's gonna be seen like security doesn't care. And if security doesn't care, then why should IT care? I've been seeing a lot of that where maybe the maybe the discussion requires you to coordinate things with leadership or with other teams, or building a coalition, or having an open office hours where you're like, hey, patch Tuesday's coming up, we're going to have an office hours on Monday to maybe talk with the IT people and management to understand what needs to be done. Is this something that needs to occur, and what's the process to get that done? Clearing a path to getting security done, instead of just throwing it over the fence and saying, just patch. We still so Walt said, we still have change request numbers for production. It requires less work than it did before. It seems more rubber stampish than before. So Walt, you're absolutely correct. So um, sometimes, like in some orgs, they have like where you got to go through the full change management process, which can be arduous because it does require people to come in and go, yes, we definitely need to do this and we need to coordinate it, and it's going to be number 5 on the change window or what have you. Then there's other stuff that's like you can do it outside the change window, or this is not a major change, so yeah, you can just apply that patch anytime. Or hey, we've tested this in beta, no problems when we issued the patch, so we'll go ahead and issue that. Depending on how mature I think your management is, I don't know if you do ITIL or anything like that. They might allow you to do things outside the change window. I have a firewall rule and I'm going to need to add this firewall rule. Well, we don't want you to wait a week to do that. You can do it during off hours, or do it during work hours. Tripexity. Maybe with vulns being utilized quicker and quicker, it's seeming time to just enforce policy to push patches as they come. And if printing breaks, oh well, you can't print. At least you didn't get ransomed. That is a good point, Tripexity. There is a triage thing. If there's a known vulnerability in Chrome, and I'm not saying there is, but let's say there's a known vulnerability in Chrome or in WebKit that's actively being used in the wild, and yeah, there may be. And again, this comes back to your change management, or what it takes to actually patch something. You might need to push out a new Firefox update or a new Chrome update. Hey, Digital Warhead, you're about to walk into Costco. Well, I'm glad you could say hello while you're walking into Costco, Digital Warhead. Appreciate you coming by. Yeah, I mean, I Triplex, I think that has to do, when you're talking about just patching, or enforcing policy to push patches, it requires us to have a relationship with IT, other than, oh yeah, we're the people who come in and just tell them, to just patch or to fix things. Um, some of that is earning trust. If I come in and the only thing that I tell them is every time I see them is, hey, where are my patches? When are you patching this? They're I learned a little bit of that during my class for Harvard. Everybody is managing. You're either managing up, you're managing laterally, or you're managing down. If you're at the bottom of the ladder, obviously there's nobody for you to manage down to. You're managing laterally or you're managing up. Um, I've been utilizing third-party app upgrades silently for browsers, etc., without users noticing or complaining. I mean, that's great. It sounds like you're doing a great job there, Perplexity, with automating that away and making it so that it is not a hindrance to your users, which you should be applauded for. If you can do something like IT or do something like security without people noticing, that's awesome. You know, how often does that actually happen? I mean, it sounds like that's one win where you can actually show that, you know, you don't have to require a reboot every time somebody pushes a patch or what have you. Um, we still have some apps that can be automated, and those are the ones we create tickets for and triage. Absolutely. You know, like Windows updates, you know, that require a reboot, you know, like mine is about to ask me for, no doubt. Oh, interesting. I ran the updates and it supposedly downloaded, but it didn't ask me to reboot like it normally does. That's not good. Okay. Um, our big issue is not taking down the production point of sale system during the workday, 2 a.m. to 7 p.m. 2 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's the workday, 2 a.m. Wow. For the client server app, we can't update while it is being used. See, so you can't just patch. According Walt's example is you can't just patch. You know, so you have to find those windows, you have to find those places. So your patch window is probably anywhere between 7:15 p.m. to 1:45 a.m. Or maybe, you know, time zones. Duh, that makes sense. Um, oh, okay. So yeah, so like 5 a.m. East Coast time if you're on the Pacific time zone, to 10 p.m. Yeah, that makes sense. So Eastern to Hawaii. Yeah, that makes things difficult. And you know, if you're worldwide and you're global, that's not going to be feasible, right? If you have to keep your systems up for Asia Pacific region or Europe or whatever, there's never going to be an off time for you. Um, so you know you have to find places to do that, and you know, Walt, if you start to move into different time zones or whatever, you would have to make those changes. Digital Warhead had a guy reach out to me who I met at InfoSec Campout about radio comms. He's helping out with Seattle Community Network. It was good to hear from him. Yeah, we interviewed Esther from Seattle Community Network. That was pretty awesome. Yeah, I think that's on our YouTube still. But yeah, we had Esther talking to them. They're they have a Discord. Let me see if I can find that. Anybody's interested in the local area, there it is. Invite, copy, link. They're building. There's the Discord invite for Seattle Community Network. They build a cellular network for those who need basic data functions for cell phones and stuff. Uh, to get cell phone access, using cell phones. But yeah, they do some. It's a good volunteer work if you wanted to do it that way. But yeah, yeah. I mean, at some point, if you're a global company, there's no window. You're always going to be impacting the day. It's always daytime somewhere. So, um, you know, I don't want to keep harping on this, but it's like, what are you doing to facilitate the process? Are you helping to champion fixes? Are you getting blockers out of the way? Maybe IT can't patch because the compliance weasels are, causing problems, or like Walt said, it's time zones. You can't get around that. Working to make it better to get patching maybe requires you to go a little bit further than just throwing it over the fence and saying just patch it. Obviously, I didn't get any replies to this because that's not the answer some people wanted to see on that, but it is what it is. So, uh, we have a bunch of stuff that we're doing in security every day at our job. IT's probably got a ton of stuff that they're doing, or vulnerability management or remediation, or those teams probably have a ton of stuff that they're doing. So, um, one of the things you can probably do is help find ways to help one another, or at least build that relationship where it's a give and take. It's a negotiation. Hey, appreciate y'all's help last month. I'd love to help you get some of these patches out that are happening. What is your blocker that's going to keep you from doing it? Hey, I've got this developer over here who's having some issues. Maybe you can help out with that. There's a negotiation kind of thing that you can always help build those relationships. Wednesday after 8 p.m. Yeah, there's no good time. There's no better time than the present. Yeah, that's a good point, Triplexity. So, God, I got all ranty there. I apologize for that, but yeah, there's some things that just the problem is Mike, the IT guy, is followed by 434 people who probably agreed with him, or a good number of those folks agreed with him. Whether it feels like those are the kinds of things that security people say that give us a bad name. And do we want to be the stereotypical person who just says that? It's not helpful. So I have an AARL Q&A on my desk. I need to take my exam. Wild that you don't need to know Morse anymore. Well, yeah, I mean, the Navy, I want to say within the last 5 or 6 years, Triplexity got rid of the was it signalman rating, because they don't do Morse code or signal flags anymore. They used to teach signal flags and stuff, and I think they discontinued certain rates because of that and folded them into QMs and stuff like that, quartermasters. So yeah, on naval ships they don't teach the flags anymore. Oh, ham radio. Yeah. I tried to get ham radio licensing workshops at InfoSec Campout one year, and then I found out there's actually 2 different schools of ham radio operator licenses, and my first thought was why, and the second one was you need 2 instructors or 2 licensed people to be able to license certain people to do things. I had one from one group and one from another group, and it's like oil and water, and they it was like, well, we can't do either one. We need 2 from one place. I'm like, great. So we're not going to do that. But yeah, there's AARL is one, and then there was another group of folks. But yeah, we would have done ham radio operator licenses and stuff. Anybody else? Oh yeah, this was some of the patches for. This is a vulnerability, TTY pushback vulnerability. In hardened BSD. Not sure why. Yeah, you got to have 2V. Yeah, exactly. Lady P. You don't hate people. You just, dislike a lot of folks. So, Reddit was down for a while. I saw that. Let me see. Is Reddit still down? Let's go see. Do I want to? Maybe I don't want to do that right now. Yeah. Okay. So it's still doing the same thing that it was doing earlier. So, she doesn't hate all people because she hangs out on here with me. So it's good though. She keeps me grounded. There's technician, which is the easiest, then general, then extra. The higher the license, the RF bands you can operate in. Oh, interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, we were going to get a bunch of people technician qualified or what have you. Higher privileges. So Triplexity, let me ask a question with the ham radio stuff. What stops you from not just saying, F it, I'm gonna, go into the 500 megahertz bands or whatever, if you're not licensed to do so? Can you even, is it the honor system where it's like, oh, I know I shouldn't be in here, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway? Or yeah, okay, I was going to say, it's the last honor system around. So, all Morse code CW is technically digital, DI and DA 0 and 1. Yeah, long and short and long. User admin or root. Yeah. So there's nothing physically stopping you. So as long as you've got the equipment, you can, pretty much run up in the extra bandwidth areas without, with impunity. Of course, people just won't talk to you, but you get to listen in on the calls. Someone will hunt your ass. Push a pin in your- Oh no. Oh man. I'm imagining, Oh, don't agree with her, Triplexity. Oh my God. You're yeah. Wow, that's telling if those they'll hunt you. Yeah. I Huh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that grandfather were ops. All the everything I know about ham radios came from the movie Frequency, and apparently you can talk to people from 30 years ago on ham radios. So that's pretty cool. Um, Maybe I should get a ham radio, and that way I can do that. Maybe that's why he could go back in time and talk to his father. Oh, sorry, spoiler alert. Um, because he was unlicensed and he was using it. So being unlicensed allows you to go back in time. So got that going for you. Let me see. Let's go pull up Feedly and see what's going on over here. Oh, I don't want to talk about Silicon Valley Bank, but I don't know enough about it because I don't work for startup. So those hams do have a lot of time on their hands. Sure. Fox hunting is a fun game we play. The fox is real. It's even more fun. What does the fox say there, Lady P? I'm sorry. Shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done it. Lady P, I rarely get that kind of setup in real life, so I'm really sorry about that. Don't be mad, Lady P. Uh, oh, I'm so sorry, y'all. That's fun. Let me see. Send deep fakes. Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. They're not coping silently. Some of them get leaked. I think I told y'all my wife has got her. She likes to just sit over on the couch and she'll just turn on Rick Astley. Um, so we've talked at length about this, but I find this interesting. So, and it does kind of make sense that universities and colleges cope silently with ransomware attacks. Um, they try hard to keep the information quiet. Yeah, some cyber researchers say ransomware attacks are on downswing as they face declining payments. The spate of recent malware attacks makes it feel like the scourge is continuing at the same or elevated pace. All right, Digital Warhead, go enjoy Costco. Abandon all hope, all ye who enter Costco. Um, I don't know why, but it's like driving your carts through Costco is just crazy. It's like Mario Kart times 20 or something. Um, so it says, Bristol Community College in Massachusetts, Okanagan College in BC, British Columbia, Mount St. Mary's College in Newburgh, New York confirmed a recent malware attack. So there's a cone of silence. It's impossible to know how many higher education institutions have become victims because institutions are more reluctant than most to reveal attacks or discuss any aspect of cybersecurity. CSO sent interview requests to 5 CISOs to discuss the challenges they face in managing their institution's cybersecurity, and all went unanswered. All went unanswered. Um, None of the CISO, CSO contacted are employed at colleges or universities publicly known as victims of ransomware attacks. Huh. I I wonder what a university CISO does. 73. Oh, okay. Um, yeah, it's rough because I mean, do you really want to talk about I mean, did they send the interview request to 5 universities that CSO Online knew had been ransomwared and just hadn't publicly let them know? Because they're not a publicly traded company. They don't fall under things like the SEC. I don't know if there's any requirements for universities to report a ransomware breach. I think a lot of times you see or hear about them from, students that go, hey, I'm on Twitter because, I can't actually use my computer because of ransomware or something like that. Um, Very few orgs, unless they wind up on an extortion site, want to talk about the fact they've been hit with ransomware. But when you talk about many colleges and unis, because they're part of the public sector, a lot of times they have state requirements regarding what they can and can't say. So they're under gag order. Here's how they derive their numbers. Perplexity. Wait, did this just go from just pass to just ignore? You know what? I did not plan this, but yeah, they're, you know, well, that you just ignore when you fail to. Well, ransomware is not patching necessarily, right? It could be a fish. There could be other reasons. Yes, gag orders. I'm guessing gag orders. The last thing the university lawyers want in the news is the fact that their organization is, using, Norton antivirus and, a firewall from 1985. Um, there's I mean, I have heard that there's initiatives going on from the Department of Education in the United States where, they're trying to set up cybersecurity requirements or policies to require colleges and unis to follow. The only thing is, if they're a private college or like not state of California system or a state of Washington system like UW up here, or the UC college system, would they fall under the Department of Education's aegis, if you will? You know, uh, wow. So they said Recorded Future recently issued FOIA requests to learn about ransomware attacks against colleges and universities in one specific state. Every time they came back with the same thing, due to the sensitive nature of this, blah, 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 we can't share any information. Well, that's the point of a FOIA request. It's the freedom of information. So free the information. Um, they said it could reveal sensitive networking stuff like which is complete garbage. That was the tack they took. I'm like, your data is on an extortion site, so we know what happened. So there seems to be an unwillingness to share information. I still think the link I posted is. Why am I clicking on links? No, no, no. No, no, Lady P. You almost got me. Thank God I have a slow internet. Oh, no. See, that's how. All right. Oh, Lady P, I need to derive your numbers and whatever. Okay, let's go look at it. See, it says Rick roll. Oh. Oh, you got I can't even click on it right now. Oh, there it goes. This is white guy dancing. I'm gonna Rick roll y'all. Look. I Rick rolled y'all. Look at that. I can give as good as I get. You know what? I actually like that idea, the animated emote. So, thank you, Lady P. Um, yeah, I don't know. We're strangers to love. Yeah. It's interesting though. Why would they? Why would they want to? Yeah. Are they beholden to the student body of people if they are targeted? I mean, we've seen this not just in college and universities, but there's a lot of small towns that don't want to advertise it. I know that there's been some local high schools up here in the Washington State area that got hit by ransomware that doesn't make national news because elementary school or high school, but Edmonds, Washington ransomware. Yeah, here it is. Edmond School District. Um, data event. I think I saw some PR company put out about a ransomware event where they called it an encryption event instead of ransomware. And I think they were trying to maybe weasel words around it by saying, that instead of what might get them in trouble with that. So they said, yeah, third party. This was February 10th. So this is about a month ago. I remember seeing it on the local news too. Um, District is working to determine who is affected by the breach, socials, driver's license numbers, birth dates, student IDs, financial account information. So they had everything in basically one big gigantic server, it sounds like. And yeah, they're going to compile a list. Yeah, 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 yeah. I seem to remember there was a ransomware event, though. Yeah, they were down for a couple days. So databreaches.net. North Shore. There it is. They had a 29. There's a North Shore School District had a ransomware attack in 2019. They say it made national news, but I don't remember that. So, of course, it's been since before the pandemic. So, yeah. Headlines 3 years on, 5 a.m. on a Saturday, had scheduled an update to a student information system. System analyst logged on. They got Ryuk. So, it was a prominent ransomware that cropped up, quickly building a reputation for targeting government, education, and health sector entities. Ah, dirtbags. Okay. They also they were also Conti. So there you go. Cases like this, it's my job to decide who needs to be woke up. In this case, it was absolutely everybody. It's not fun to call your supervisor and say we think everything is down. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I can understand why they would want to keep that under wraps because it can be a resume generating event for a good number of people. Um, people want to play the blame game, or um, you know, there's a you know, we do what we can with what we have. I think we talked with the CISO of Seattle Public Schools, and she told us that it's hard to just get people to come and work at a school system because they pay bupkis, and you train somebody up and they're going to go get a six-figure job somewhere else. So you expect that. I mean, I talked to one of my cousins' spouses at a funeral, and he works in IT at a school system in Tennessee. He said the same thing. He's like, I'm making 35 to 40 a year, and he's like, I can teach somebody to do something, and then they'll go make, he said 45 to 50 or something like that. But so if he's making 40 to 45, and he can teach somebody, and they can go and make as much money as he is, then they're making even less than that. Complexity says I was friends with the only IT guy for a public school in a small town. He'd pull me out of class and I'd help him with projects. Gave my roaming profile account. Oh, he gave my roaming profile account Putty in return for not showing students how to bypass security policy. He told me horror stories and how awful it was to work for school. Lots of asking, not enough pay. Yeah. Yeah. And I believe that was what April had told us. She's like, for every you know everything we do, that's one less teacher, or that's, and it's the same thing for hospitals. It's like we're here to save lives. Every firewall we buy is one less doctor to save lives, and it's hard to um it, you can't justify that. It's like, well, we're saving lives. Well, yeah, security can save lives too, but not in the same way. Or it's hard to secure people if they're having a heart attack and there's nobody to save them. So it's that's a political arena I don't think I'd ever want to go and work at, to be honest. But yeah, it's. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, I know why they target these things: elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, universities. There's a lot of juicy information there that the ransomware people like, and as we found from a fairly famous Twitter conversation where we have people in higher education complaining that they're putting spyware on their computers by means of CrowdStrike. I forget the person's name. Oh, there's my restart icon. Um, this person wanted a brand new computer, and he'd asked his TA. He's a doctoral student, and he asked his TA, and the TA said, "Yeah, we'll get it to you right after we put endpoint security and security stuff on it." He's like, "No, I don't want ransomware and spyware. I don't want spyware on my computer." And a lot of people took him to task for that. It's like, you don't own the computer. Um, not your stuff. I think I already talked about some of this on the stream as well, but it, I, I I don't want to say they get what they ask for, but you have people like that who think they can just do whatever they want on a university network, and then they wonder why they get ransomware. It's an openly hostile environment. Um, so yeah, there you go. Oh, that's not the right one. There it is. CSO Online actually had a good news article. There you go. I like some of these long form articles sometimes when they're talking about various things. um, okay. Zero trust. Yeah. Here. Ads. SVB collapse triggers heightened cybersecurity concerns. You know what? Talking about the SVB thing in terms of security, I did see that there was some phishing campaigns going on where people had been targeted. Yeah, see suspicious domains. So SVC collapse, claim, debt, claims, bailout. Um, I can definitely see where we're going with this. It's like, hey, were you a startup and you had your money in SVB? We represent, really crappy ambulance chasing organization who can help you get your money back. Go here, go to svbbailout.com or whatever. I can definitely see those kinds of emails being sent out by folks to attempt to scam already at risk, or people who've been hit by the SBV thing, a VB. So yeah, let me see. Sites appear to have been developed by TAs or threat actors who are looking to exploit the current situation for personal gain. So yeah, it's like here's a good one. Wow, phishing site offering USD coin reward program. Okay. So monitoring phishing activity, yeah, crypto phishing schemes, taking advantage of the current situation. SVBUSDC.com, yeah, and then of course, yeah, don't okay, they've obfuscated that QR code, so wow, that's pretty good. USD coin. I don't know what that is. Is that another cryptocurrency? USD coin? Looks like it is, but phishing sites for the same crypto scam. Redeemed Circle Reserve, Circle USD coin. Yeah. Yeah. Every time you get a disaster or something, you're always going to have people who are going to be taking advantage of that. And this is, I mean, between this one and Silverbank, which is the second bank that failed around the same time, you're going to have people who are weirded out, and they're going to get this email, and they're going to be like, "God, I hope I can get some money back. I'm going to click on this," and it just makes it even worse. So you get kicked when you're down. Did I put that link in there? No. Log.cycle. Post that one up in the chat as well. Our recommendations: avoiding downloading files from unknown websites. Okay. Use a reputed, I think it's probably reputable, antivirus and internet security software package on your connected devices. Refrain from opening untrusted links. See, and so now we're cyclical. We're back to that doesn't necessarily work for everybody, right? Just don't, just refrain from opening untrusted links and email attachments without verifying their authenticity. Can you really verify every email that comes in? Enable data loss prevention solutions on employee systems. I would love to talk to a DLP solution provider. I have never seen a news article saying, hey, we would have been breached had it not have been for our DLP solution. I would like to understand that and see if that, has ever happened. Has anybody ever had a breach or ransomware, or whatever a DLP solution helps protect against. Did it actually help protect against that? Um, yeah, I don't know. So there's some IOCs here, So if you've got some, something that you can block those for, outgoing emails, maybe your email tar pits, anything coming from those, or you can scan those emails. Close that. We're going to be going to dinner here in a few minutes. Painters come tomorrow. I don't have to worry about painting until Friday, so I may not be on Friday for the Go class, depending on if they get done with my office in time, because I have to put everything down and I have to move my monitors and all that. So, supply chain security, mind the gaps in AppSec testing. Inside the mind of an APT. Five signs you've fallen for a scam and what to do next. Is clicking on the link going to an article about falling for a scam? Probably. Threat group offers a $240,000 salary. Holy shit. Dark web forums are home to various individuals interested in conducting illicit or questionable activities. These forums offer opportunities such as transaction of stolen data, malware as a service, hacking services, and invitations to collaborate in hacktivism. Cybercrime team members recruited directly from source, the dark web. Conduct an analysis of 155 dark web forums. They examine job postings and resumes that contained information about full or long-term employment. What does a resume look like for somebody who's wanting to work for a ransomware crew? I mean, I don't know what that looks like. Do you put your legit work in there as well? And the stuff that you're doing on the side? I would imagine it looked very similar to something like a red team or some kind of pen testing thing. It's like, hey, I gained access to the following users, or this is my handle on a forum. I don't know what that would look like. Is their recruiting better than normal people's recruiting? As per Kaspersky, there's many reasons why individuals seek employment on the dark web, lured by the prospect of easy money. A fair number of those unhappy with conventional job pay seek alternative employment on the dark web. These expectations are often misguided as salaries on the dark web are not higher than those in a legitimate economy. Yeah, but I think probably the dynamic is a little different. You don't have to worry about, weekly stand-ups or I don't know. What would we already know that they have pretty decent customer support. So what would a dark web job look like that you get on the dark web? What have I missed? I've been meeting people to do things to the new house. Not too much. We talked about, just patching things. We talked about TPM vulnerabilities and bounds checking. We talked a little bit about ransomware from universities. Now we're talking about, getting a job via the dark web. So apparently there were 200,000 jobs posted on dark web forums from January 2020, which was just before the pandemic started, through the pandemic. 200,000 job-related ads. Majority of these postings occurred in 2020. Sure, that's because, people want to work. Using data to watch Twitch out here is not the best. Yeah, I had trouble even with 5G watching Twitter. I ended up having to watch it vertically, so I've got like a little screen instead of like, this way for the big ass screen, even on 5G. In terms of the resumes, a diverse range of expertise and job descriptions. This included everything from moderating Telegram channels to compromising corporate infrastructure. Study examined 867 ads. Because, I'm trying to... Oh, okay. Well, you can check us out on the VOD there, Beta Wolf. You've got priorities, man. Go and make sure that you're going to have water and sewer and internet and whatever in your new house. Because so your resume on a dark website would be the stuff that you've done, but if the stuff that you've done is like normal bad guy stuff, bad person stuff. Um, you'd be admitting to hacking and ransomwareing things. So I'm not exactly sure how all that works. How do you? Yeah, I mean, what's the interview process like for a dark web job? Most sought after roles in the dark web were developers. That makes sense. 61% of all job ads, they need to write code, right? You need to have a specific skill set there to be able to build malware or exploit kits or C2 or whatever. Pen tester or attackers came in second. So red teamers basically came in second for 16%. And designers. Oh, okay. No worries, Beta Wolf. Have a Yeah, go check out the VOD. Designers. That's interesting. Designers of what? Let's make this bigger. So we got developers, 61%, attack specialists. That's what we should call red teamers, attack specialists. Designers, administrators. I'm guessing like forum administrators, maybe. 2% reverse engineers, 4% reverse engineers, 2% analysts, 1% testers. That's not bad. So wait, how many jobs? 200,000 jobs. So 1% of them were testers. So that means 20,000 tester jobs. No, 2,000 tester jobs. I don't math good. Wow, that's not bad. I mean, 4,000 analyst jobs. Let's see, 4%, so that'd be 16,000. 16,000? Yeah, 16,000 reverse engineers. That's not bad, actually. That's quite impressive considering 200,000 job related ads. Dark web hiring terms. It's interesting. So could it be that they're actually better at recruiting security and IT people than legitimate security and IT companies? I mean, think about that, right? I mean, I can't even think about that. It's like, yeah, really weird. Main selection criteria included test assignments. Okay, so they do practicals. They have a practical exam, like take this home and see if you can own it. Your CV or portfolio, and 26% is interviews. Wow. Okay, so you don't have to necessarily interview for a job. In order to attract potential talent, dark web employers offer a variety of appealing job packages. Wow, remote work, right? Full-time employment, right? Flexible work hours. Okay, what's not to love? I'm sold. Oh, wait. However, remote work is a necessity since anonymity is a vital component for cyber groups. Other advertised employment perks may include time off, paid sick leave, and a welcoming work environment. Oh, that's lovely. I wonder what their DE&I programs are like. As with legitimate job markets, threat actors offer a variety of work arrangements, including full-time, part-time, traineeships. Wow, so they'll train you like a journeyman kind of thing. Business relationships, partnerships, or team memberships. What do you do for a living? Well, I do business development for Conti. What does that entail? Oh, I go and reach out to other malware teams. Yeah. Business related. Oh, no, business relationships. You're like the guy who negotiates the payments from ransomware people. I can see that. In addition, these organizations conduct performance reviews similar to Conti's approach. Really? Yeah, we're going to have to let you go. You didn't crack enough domains this year. Yeah. Internal documents. I love it. I love the fact that they're they they're a legitimate company, but it just, it blows my mind. It does. I just find that interesting. Um, I think I remember. Risky Business talked about this. They actually had like an employee handbook and welcome to Conti or something similar. Whereas like you've got to yeah, you got a classic hierarchy. You got a HR, HR for Conti, I don't like my boss. Well, what is the conversations look? Oh, God, I've got so many things running through my mind right now about what HR at a malware company looks like. Um, of course, this is all said tongue in cheek because I think a lot of them live in Russia. So this is April 13th of of last year. So yeah, um, that's super interesting. So I'll have to read this a little bit longer, but I think I'm gonna go. I appreciate everybody for sticking around because I it was a hot mess today, but we actually had a logical progression if you follow through. We started talking about um, you know security's relationship with other teams and the just patching thing. Then we moved to actually talking, or we had vulnerabilities. Then we talked about patching. We talked about the Windows Patch Tuesday. So yeah, kind of a cyclical thing. It was interesting how that went out, but yeah. So hope everybody has a great rest of their week. We'll be moving things around in the office here, and hopefully by the next time you see me, I'll have different colored walls. I'll make sure I point those out because it's not annoying enough that I've done it already. Um, and yeah, we'll just go and check out. Anybody want to raid somebody? I've got a handful of folks on right now. I got ouch. When you have to give a cat a pill, that's I have to give a cat a pill, and I end up having to scruff her, so she's like this, and then I have to shove the pill right in her. She's learned that she can pick up her claws on her front and like slice me open like a Sid Heresy. Syderesy. Oh, who's that guy? Oh, that's me. Air rifle works in the same caliber. Oh no, see, so I need to stop this because it's distracting. So Lady P, when the vet, because my baby, she's 12, 13, and she's got IBS, and so she's had a few accidents because there's a lot of things going on. It's like we found out cats are lactose intolerant. We were giving them like a little taste of whipped cream every night or whatever. But when the vet had suggested medication, I was like, oh, you're gonna give her a shot? No, I like to do the pills. And I was like, have you ever given a cat a pill? And he's like, he paused for a second because he's like, should I tell him that he's an idiot? And yes, I'm a vet and I've given animals more pills. But he was nice. He was like, oh yeah, I've given a few pills. And I was like, do you have suppository or something? I'd rather deal with that end than the other end with all the teeth and the claws and things. But yeah, giving her pills has been interesting. We've tried like putting it in a syringe and crushing it up and putting a little broth in, and all that does is she just shakes her head and spills all the broth with the pill inside of it, and that causes issues. So I've gotten to the point where I'm almost able to like shove it in the side of her mouth, and then when she opens her mouth, I just shove it right down her esophagus. Um, she hates me for about 10 minutes, and then I apologize and we make up. So. But yeah, so okay, so we're gonna go ahead and raid Sid Heresy. He's over there doing something, and yeah, hope everyone has a good rest of your day, rest of your week, and we'll hang out again real soon. I will let everybody know on the Discord if I can't make it on Friday, and we'll do something on the weekend. So. All right. Yep. Yeah, absolutely, Pete. Lady P, have the day you deserve. So, bye, y'all.